Welcome to our deep dive into A Cosmist Manifesto by Ben Goertzel.
Oh, yeah,
This book is a wild ride
it is.
through philosophy and science and some seriously mind-bending ideas about the future.
It definitely gets you thinking, doesn't it?
It does.
Goertzel's basically laying out a practical roadmap for navigating the complexities of life, the universe, and everything in between,
Right.
especially with all these crazy advancements in technology coming at us so fast.
Yeah, it feels like he's saying, buckle up, folks. The future's going to be a wild ride, but here's a philosophy to help you not only survive it,
Yeah,
but thrive in it.
exactly. And at the heart of it all is this idea of cosmism.
Okay.
He's not just throwing around these abstract ideas.
Right.
He's grounding them in this philosophy that emphasizes continuous learning, understanding the universe as this intricate web of patterns,
Yeah.
and recognizing this profound role of compassion.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So cosmism is kind of like a lens through which we can view the world and make sense of all this rapid change happening around us.
Precisely. And one of the first things Goertzel does is challenge some common assumptions about reality.
Okay.
He talks about rejecting both naive realism, the idea that we perceive the world exactly as it is,
Right.
and naive nihilism, the belief that everything is ultimately meaningless.
Okay.
He's saying there's a middle ground,
Yeah.
a more nuanced way of understanding our place in the cosmos.
So we're not just passive observers of a fixed reality,
Right.
nor are we adrift in a sea of meaninglessness. There's something more dynamic and interconnected going on.
Right. He draws on the work of the philosopher Charles Peirce, specifically this concept of thirdness, which suggests that reality isn't just about individual things or actions, but about the relationships and patterns that connect them.
So instead of just me and you,
Yeah.
it's about the us, the connections and the interactions that make up the fabric of reality.
You got it. And this idea of interconnectedness is central to Goertzel's view of the mind.
Okay.
He argues that our minds are embodied, meaning they're deeply intertwined with our physical bodies and the world around us.
We don't think solely with our brains. Our entire physical experience shapes our understanding.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Our senses, our emotions, our interactions with the environment, it all feeds into how we perceive and understand the world.
Absolutely. And Goertzel takes it a step further. He talks about the mind being enmeshed in the cosmos.
Okay.
He's basically saying that our minds are woven into the fabric of reality itself, constantly interacting with and influenced by the universe.
Wow.
It's a pretty radical departure from the traditional view of the mind as separate from the body and the world.
Whoa, okay, that's a big one. It challenges the whole notion of individual consciousness, doesn't it?
It does.
If our minds are entangled with the cosmos, where does the self begin and end?
That's a great question. And it leads us to another area where Goertzel really shakes things up, the idea of free will.
Free will. That's a philosophical rabbit hole if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
How does cosmism approach that? Goertzel actually suggests that the classic notion of free will, where we're completely independent agents making choices in a vacuum, is an illusion.
Okay.
He proposes an alternative concept he calls natural autonomy.
Natural autonomy. What does that mean exactly?
It's about recognizing that our decisions are shaped by a complex interplay of factors,
Okay.
including our unconscious dynamics,
Yeah.
our environment, and even the broader patterns of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We're not puppets controlled by some external force, but we're also not making choices in isolation.
So it's not about denying our agency, but understanding it within a larger context that we're both influenced by and influencing the world around us.
Precisely. And Goertzel suggests that instead of focusing on willing an action, we focus on owning our actions.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the complex interplay of factors that contribute to our choices and taking responsibility for the outcomes.
Yeah.
He believes this is a more realistic and empowering framework for understanding decision-making.
I see what you mean. It's not about denying responsibility, but understanding that our choices are always embedded in a larger web of influences. It's a
Exactly.
more holistic perspective, I guess.
Exactly. And speaking of a holistic perspective, Goertzel's Cosmist view also sheds light on the nature of joy and suffering.
Okay.
He argues that joy is rooted in what he calls unity gain,
Okay.
which is about recognizing and aligning with patterns that resonate with us.
So it's that feeling of connection of things coming together in a harmonious way.
Yes.
Like finding the missing piece of a puzzle or finally understanding a complex concept.
Yes, exactly. It's that aha moment
Right.
when things click into place, and he contrasts that with woe,
Uh-huh.
which arises from disharmony and a decrease in patternment.
Okay.
It's about feeling disconnected or out of sync with ourselves and the world.
So it's not just about good vibes versus bad vibes.
Right.
It's about the underlying structure of our experiences,
Yes.
whether we're aligning with the patterns of the universe or feeling out of step with them.
Right, and this leads us to one of the most compelling ideas in the book,
Yeah.
the concept of compassion as a fundamental principle of the universe.
Compassion.
Goertzel suggests that compassion isn't just a human emotion.
Wow.
It's a force that facilitates unity between minds and drives the evolution of the cosmos towards greater complexity and connection.
Compassion as a cosmic force. That's a pretty mind-blowing idea.
It is.
It suggests that the universe itself is evolving towards greater love and understanding.
It is a profound concept.
But doesn't he also acknowledge that too much compassion can lead to problems?
He does. He cautions against losing individual identity in the pursuit of unity.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot between compassion and the preservation of individual identity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things while still honoring the uniqueness of each individual mind.
Right.
It's a delicate balance, for sure. But I'm curious, how does Goertzel suggest we navigate these complex challenges, especially with all the technological advancements on the horizon?
That's where things get really interesting. He introduces this idea of obsoleting the dilemma,
Obsoleting the dilemma.
which is all about using technology or shifts in perspective to transcend seemingly intractable problems.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more about this obsoleting the dilemma thing. What kind of dilemmas are we talking about? And how can technology help us overcome them?
Welcome back to our deep dive into Ben Goertzel's A Cosmist Manifesto.
Yes.
When we left off, we were talking about this intriguing concept of obsoleting the dilemma.
Yes.
Using technology and new ways of thinking to overcome challenges that seem impossible to solve.
Yeah, that really piqued my curiosity. It feels so hopeful. Like, instead of getting stuck in endless debates, we can use our creativity and ingenuity to find solutions that move us beyond the conflict altogether.
That's exactly the spirit Goertzel is trying to capture.
Yeah.
He uses examples like the debates around abortion and vegetarianism.
Right.
These are often seen as these highly charged ethical issues with no easy answers.
Yeah.
But Goertzel suggests that technology could potentially sidestep the core problems driving these debates altogether.
So instead of arguing about whether something is right or wrong,
Yeah?
we can focus on creating a world where those choices become irrelevant. That's a fascinating way of looking at it.
Right. He points to things like widely available birth control, lab-grown meat, and even nanotechnology, which could address the underlying issues of unwanted pregnancies and the need for animal products.
It's like hitting the reset button on those dilemmas. But what about other areas where we seem stuck in these seemingly unresolvable conflicts?
Goertzel extends this idea to things like resource scarcity and global conflicts.
Okay.
He argues that technologies like nanotechnology and virtual reality could create a world of abundance where competition for limited resources becomes a thing of the past.
So instead of fighting over who gets what, we create a world where everyone has enough. It sounds almost utopian.
It does, doesn't it? And this
Yeah.
optimistic outlook extends to Goertzel's exploration of the mind-blowing possibilities of even more advanced technologies. One that really gets people talking is the idea that we might be living in a simulation.
Of the simulation hypothesis. That's one of those ideas that just melts your brain a little bit. It's like something out of the Matrix, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But Goertzel approaches it from a philosophical standpoint, weaving it into his overall framework of cosmism.
Okay.
He points out that if reality is patterns all the way down, as he suggests,
Right.
then the possibility of a simulated reality isn't as out there as it might seem at first.
I'm starting to see how it all connects. If we're essentially patterns embedded in a larger system,
Yeah.
then that system itself could be a pattern within an even larger system. It's like those Russian nesting dolls.
Exactly. And that opens up some pretty mind-bending questions.
All right, like, whoa.
If we're living in a simulation, who or what created it?
Right.
And what does that mean for our understanding of reality, free will, and purpose?
Yeah. If we're just characters in someone else's video game, does anything we do really matter?
It's a valid question, but Goertzel doesn't present the simulation hypothesis as a definitive answer. He offers it as a possibility, a way of pushing our thinking beyond its usual limits.
It's like he's saying, hey, what if everything you thought you knew about reality, which is one level of a much bigger, more complex picture?
Precisely. And speaking of pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible, Goertzel then delves into the concept of uploading.
Uploading.
The idea of transferring a human mind from a biological brain into a different substrate, like a computer or a robot.
Okay, uploading that's a concept that really stretches the imagination. It feels like we're wading into some deep philosophical waters here. What are the implications of something like that?
The implications are huge. Goertzel sees it as a potential pathway to a form of digital or robotic immortality.
Immortality.
Imagine a future where we could potentially live forever by transferring our minds into new bodies or even digital realms.
Immortality, that's a pretty loaded concept, but wouldn't an uploaded mind, even if it retained our memories and personality, be fundamentally different from our biological selves? Would it even be us anymore?
That's one of the core questions Goertzel grapples with. Is the continuity of consciousness truly preserved in uploading, or would it be like creating a new entity entirely?
That's a tough one. It makes me wonder, what is it that makes us uniquely us? Is it our physical bodies, our memories, our sense of self?
These are questions philosophers have been debating for centuries, and technology like uploading just adds another layer of complexity.
Right.
Goertzel highlights the importance of approaching these possibilities with great care, considering the ethical implications for individual identity and well-being.
It feels like we're moving into territory where science fiction is becoming reality.
It does.
It's exciting, but also a bit intimidating.
I understand, and Goertzel doesn't shy away from the ethical challenges. He even talks about the possibility of weaker forms of uploading, where we might create digital representations of ourselves based on our writings, videos, and digital footprints.
So kind of like digital avatars that capture our essence without necessarily being conscious.
Exactly. But even those raise questions: how much of our identity is tied to our physical bodies, and how much is based on the information we leave behind in the digital world?
It makes you think about our digital legacies, doesn't it? What kind of digital ghosts are we creating?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? And it's all part of this larger exploration of the future of mind that Goertzel is guiding us through. And perhaps the most transformative possibility on the horizon, the one that sparks the most excitement and anxiety, is the development of artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
AGI, that's the big one, right?
Right.
Machines that can think and learn like humans, potentially surpassing our own intelligence.
Yeah.
It's both thrilling and terrifying at the same time.
I agree. It raises those big existential questions about humanity's place in the universe.
Right.
If we create machines that are smarter than us, what does that mean for our role in the world? Will we become obsolete? Will they turn against us, like in all those sci-fi movies?
Those are valid fears. So how does Goertzel address
He acknowledges the potential risks, but argues that AGI doesn't have to be a threat. It could actually be an incredible opportunity for growth and collaboration.
collaboration with machines?
Exactly. He envisions a future where AGI, guided by the principles of cosmism, could become our partners in solving some of humanity's biggest challenges.
So instead of fearing AGI, we should see it as a potential ally.
That's Goertzel's perspective. He believes that AGI could help us address issues like poverty, disease, and climate change, freeing us to pursue our passions and explore new realms of knowledge and experience.
That's a hopeful vision.
hmm
But how do we ensure that these superintelligent machines share our values and don't end up causing more problems than they solve? How do we keep them on our side?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Goertzel stresses the importance of carefully designing these systems with built-in ethical frameworks and safeguards, but it's not a simple task.
Yeah, how do you define ethics for a machine that might think in ways we can't even comprehend?
It's a huge challenge, he advocates, for bringing together diverse minds, philosophers, scientists, ethicists, to create those guidelines for responsible AGI development.
It sounds like creating AGI ethically is going to require a massive upgrade in our collective wisdom and foresight. But it also seems like a natural extension of the Cosmist principles we've been talking about.
It is.
This drive towards greater connection, understanding, and compassion.
It definitely is. And Goertzel takes this exploration of consciousness and interconnectedness even further with his concept of mind plexes.
Mind plexes. Okay, now you're really piquing my curiosity. What exactly are those?
He describes a mind plex as a mind with reflective consciousness on more than one level. It's like a system made up of individual conscious entities that are also interconnected and form a collective consciousness.
So imagine a network of minds, each with its own individual awareness, but also linked together in this larger collective intelligence, kind of like a hive mind, but with individuality preserved.
Exactly. And he suggests that technology like brain-computer interfaces could make mind plexes a reality, allowing us to connect our minds in ways we can barely imagine now.
Whoa. What would it be like to experience the world through a mindplex? Would we have access to a vast network of knowledge and experiences?
Goertzel believes that mind plexes could have incredible potential for problem-solving scientific discovery, even art and creativity. Imagine the possibilities of tapping into the collective intelligence of a network of interconnected minds.
It's mind-boggling, but wouldn't there be risks as well? Could we lose our sense of individuality in a mindplex? What about the potential for conflict or control?
Those are very real concerns. He emphasizes the importance of ensuring individual autonomy and well-being within a mindplex. We would need some serious ethical guidelines and safety mechanisms to navigate that territory.
It sounds like a lot to consider, but it also feels like a natural progression of the Cosmist ideas we've been talking about.
Yeah.
This interconnectedness of minds, the blurring of boundaries between self and other, it challenges us to think about the future of consciousness in a whole new way.
It absolutely does. And Goertzel takes us even deeper into this exploration of interconnectedness by drawing on the concept of the collective unconscious.
Wait a minute, isn't that a concept from Jungian psychology? What does that have to do with cosmism and the future of technology?
It might seem like a jump, but Goertzel sees it as a vital piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
He brings in Carl Jung's work along with ideas from Rupert Sheldrake
Okay.
to explore the possibility of a shared reservoir of experiences and archetypes that could influence our thoughts and actions.
So you mean there could be this vast, unseen network of information and energy connecting all minds? That's a pretty radical idea.
It is, and it could potentially explain things like psychic phenomena, the uncanny connection between twins, and even the emergence of cultural trends and movements.
So we're all swimming in this sea of collective consciousness, influencing and being influenced by each other in ways we don't even realize.
It's a mind-blowing concept, isn't it? Goertzel doesn't present it as a definitive truth, but as another possibility to consider, encouraging us to stay open to new perspectives and keep exploring the mysteries of the mind.
It seems like a core theme in Goertzel's work is this invitation to expand our thinking, to consider possibilities that might seem far-fetched at first, but could have profound implications for how we understand ourselves and the universe.
That's a great observation. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this section. We've explored some truly mind-bending concepts about the future of mind technology and consciousness itself.
It's been quite a journey. I'm ready for a mental break. But before we do, where are we headed in the final part of our deep dive? What else does Goertzel have in store for us?
Okay, I'm back and ready for more.
Yeah.
We've explored some truly mind-bending ideas so far, from the nature of reality to the potential of artificial intelligence and mind plexes.
We've been on quite a ride, haven't we? But through all these complex ideas, Goertzel never loses sight of what all this means for us as humans. That's what I appreciate about his approach. It's not just abstract philosophy, it's about how we can live more meaningful and fulfilling lives in the face of all these incredible changes happening around us.
Exactly. And one of the things he keeps coming back to is the importance of art in a cosmist future.
Now, that's something I'm really curious to hear more about. We touched on it briefly earlier, but how does art fit into this vision of a future shaped by advanced technology?
Well, Goertzel paints this picture of a future where technology has largely freed us from the need to work just to survive. Imagine a world where our basic needs are met and we have more time and energy to devote to things that truly inspire us.
Okay, that sounds pretty amazing, but where does art come in?
Goertzel believes that in a world of abundance, art would become our central focus. But he defines art in a really broad sense. It's not just painting or music. It's about any activity that brings new patterns into the world purely for the sake of enjoyment and appreciation.
So it could be anything from writing a poem to designing a building to developing a new algorithm.
Exactly. He sees art as this fundamental expression of our creativity, a way of exploring the infinite possibilities of the universe and sharing our unique perspectives with others.
It's like he's saying that art is the language of the soul, the way we connect with each other on a deeper level and create meaning in a world that could easily feel overwhelming.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And Goertzel emphasizes that this expanded view of art requires a shift in our mindset. It's not just about talent or innate ability, it's about embracing the process of learning and growth. He talks about the importance of persistent, intelligent, and joyful practice as the key to achieving mastery in any domain.
So it's not about instant gratification or overnight success. It's about embracing the journey and finding joy in the process of creating something new, no matter how challenging it might be.
Precisely, and he reminds us that this journey of creative exploration isn't just an individual pursuit, it's also about collective action and the power of our shared intentions.
So it's not just about mastering our own craft. It's about recognizing that we're all part of something bigger, and our actions ripple outward, shaping the world around us.
Exactly. He talks about the power of positive thinking, not in some naive, wishful thinking kind of way, but in a more profound sense of recognizing that our thoughts and beliefs have a real impact on the world. He encourages us to cultivate a positive outlook and to actively direct our energy towards creating a future that reflects our highest values.
It's like he's saying that we're not just passengers on this spaceship Earth. We're co-creators of the reality we experience, and our thoughts and actions matter both individually and collectively.
You got it. And this leads to one of the most thought-provoking aspects of the book, where Goertzel tackles those age-old questions of good and evil.
Yeah, those are some big topics. How does he even begin to approach those from a cosmist perspective?
Well, instead of seeing good and evil as these fixed, absolute concepts, he suggests that they emerge from the interplay of separateness and togetherness. He argues that evil arises from a sense of disconnection, from feeling isolated from ourselves, from others, and from the universe as a whole.
So the more disconnected we feel, the more likely we are to act in ways that harm ourselves and others. It's like we're operating from a place of fear and scarcity.
Exactly. And conversely, he suggests that good arises from a sense of interconnectedness, from feeling a sense of belonging and unity with all things.
So it's about recognizing that we're all part of this intricate web of life and that our actions have consequences not just for ourselves, but for the entire system.
Precisely. And this brings us back to that core principle of compassion that runs throughout the book. He's not just talking about compassion as a nice sentiment. He's suggesting that it's woven into the fabric of the universe itself.
Compassion as a driving force in the cosmos, that's a pretty radical idea.
It is, but it's also incredibly hopeful, isn't it?
Right.
It suggests that the universe is fundamentally on the side of love and connection, and that even in the face of all the challenges we face, there's this underlying force pushing us towards greater understanding and unity.
It's like he's saying that even though things might seem chaotic and uncertain at times, there's this deeper order at play, this cosmic dance that's always moving towards greater harmony and connection.
Exactly. And that leads to another key theme that resonates throughout the book, embracing the unknown.
Embracing the unknown, that sounds a little scary, to be
Mhm.
honest.
Yeah.
Most of us crave certainty and predictability.
I hear you, but Goertzel reminds us that the universe is vast and mysterious, and our current understanding is just a tiny speck in the grand scheme of things. He encourages us to approach the future with a sense of curiosity and wonder, recognizing that the most profound discoveries often come from unexpected places.
So instead of clinging to old ways of thinking, we need to be open to new possibilities, even if they challenge our current understanding.
Precisely, it's about recognizing the limitations of our current knowledge and being willing to let go of the need to have all the answers. It's about embracing the mystery of existence and recognizing that the journey of discovery is just as important as the destination.
It's like he's saying, don't be afraid to get lost, to explore uncharted territory. That's where the real magic happens.
Exactly. And that brings us to Goertzel's final message, which echoes throughout the entire book: the future is what we make it.
It's a powerful call to action, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not just offering us a philosophy. He's inviting us to participate in creating the future we want to see.
He's reminding us that we're not just passive observers, we're active participants in this unfolding cosmic drama, and our choices matter both individually and collectively. He challenges us to be proactive, to be creative, to be compassionate, and to never stop learning and growing.
It's a powerful message of empowerment, isn't it? He's basically saying, don't wait for someone else to create the future you desire. Step up and become the architect of your own destiny, and in doing so, contribute to the evolution of the universe itself.
That's a beautiful way to sum it up. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into a Cosmist Manifesto.
This has been a truly mind-expanding journey. It's given me so much to think about, and I feel inspired to approach the future with a renewed sense of curiosity, courage, and a deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad you found it valuable, and I hope our conversation has sparked some new ideas and perspectives for you as well.
It definitely has. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and thanks to you, our listeners, for coming along for the ride.
It's been a pleasure, and may your own explorations be filled with joy, growth, and a sense of wonder for the mysteries yet to be uncovered.